variety of different partners that help us with all kinds of different things. Just about anything you could think of that you might need to help you with that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this today. Let's see if I can get this to work. Wrong way. Maybe. Yep, it's on. There, I think it worked. I went the right direction. Okay. All right. So one of the things that, thank you. Okay. So one of the really important things, and again, I call this the personal transition plan. It's important to kind of be thinking about how things might change in one's future. And so things sometimes change really quickly. And so, yes?
Can I interrupt you a second?
Yes.
You can hardly see the screen. Would you like the lights dim?
If that helps you, absolutely. Oh, that was quick. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So one of the things about planning is the goal is to kind of avoid crisis, to reduce overwhelm, and have resources at your disposal, and also just kind of have an idea of what might happen as you're navigating change in your life. Why am I doing this? Why am I involved with placement? So these two ladies and the little one, that's my mom, my aunt, and then that's my granddaughter. A number of years ago, my mom was diagnosed with dementia. And so she stayed home as long as she could until her doctor started reaching out to me and saying, your mom needs some help. And her neighbors called me and said, your mom needs some help. And she was already living in a retirement community, right, for 55 and above, but people were reaching out to me, letting me know more specifically, and I would go visit her all the time. My kids would visit her all the time, so she was not alone. But outside of the time that we were spending time with her, she was struggling. She was struggling to manage her medication. There's all kinds of things that were going on with her. And so my parents had thought ahead and had created a trust in their case that was useful to them. And they'd purchased long-term care insurance. So I knew with my parents that they'd been thinking ahead and trying to figure out how can they pay for the things that they need later on in life, and how can they make sure if something happened to one or both of them that myself and my 4 siblings could help them navigate the things that they needed with their estate. And so I was the executor and the power of attorney for both my parents as they were navigating their own issues. And so that's kind of why I'm involved with this. You don't as a loved one, you don't always know how to navigate these things for your mom or your dad until you're in it, and then you're like, oh, I learned that each organization has their own case managers, right? So my doctor's office has one, the hospital has one, a rehab center has one, insurance has one, but nobody really represented my mom or dad except for me. And so one of the things I learned is how important it is for me to stay involved with all of the things that were going on with them so I could help them make the best decisions for themselves. So that's my story. My granddaughter is now 14 and she just started high school. So both my mom and my aunt have passed away. I think my aunt passed away in December of 20 and my mom passed away in 21. She was diagnosed with dementia in 2012. And so she had some time where she was still fairly independent, and then things started kind of unraveling for her. And so then we had to kind of figure out what to do. You can read these things. I'll just kind of go through the slide. But older adults will outnumber children. We're all getting older. And so 40% of adults age 65 and above need daily assistance. And that daily assistance could be small things or it could be much larger things. And family members want their senior loved ones to age with dignity, connection with others, and high quality of life. And I really believe that. Like I believe that each person should have the highest quality of life for themselves till the very end, right? And so we want to make sure that if somebody is if you want to be active, or if a place, even places that have dementia and memory care, some of them are not as active, and I've seen others that have really encouraged the folks to get out and engage with other people so they're not isolated and just kind of not engaged, right? So I feel like that's really important, right? I have to go through these. And so when is it time to start thinking about, personally, again, I think you should be thinking about your personal transition plan anytime, and I think you should revisit your thoughts on that as time goes on in your life. So, but some of the triggers or some of the things that might make it time to move towards activating your transition plan is that you might have difficulty maintaining some things, right? And so, or your loved one, right? So, keeping up your home, paying bills, managing your finances, or just maintaining a healthy environment for yourself. Declining health, so falls, weight loss, hygiene issues, and things like that. And so those are triggers that sometimes we might see in somebody else that we know, that we might go, gosh, I think I'm getting concerned. I think we might need to help this friend or neighbor that we have, right? Missing medications, that's really common, and sometimes the medications are really important to even maintain your ability to keep doing things, right? Whether it's your thoughts or whether your activities. Forgetfulness, confusion. On the way over here, I saw a vehicle, and I know the freeway is really intimidating, but I saw this car, and this person was kind of stopped on the freeway trying to get on the freeway, and I thought, oh, I felt terrible because it's 65 miles an hour. If you're going to stop, don't stop on the freeway as you're getting. I felt bad. So this kind of, I just thought I'd share that example. If the freeway is really intimidating, maybe there's ways in transportation that you can connect with to limit your fears and putting yourself in an unsafe situation, right? Or other people. Emotional, right? If you're finding yourself or someone you know not wanting to go out as much or being intimidated to being around other people, it's kind of a red flag that they may be becoming isolated, right? And so isolation kind of is a factor with depression. And so that is a red flag regarding somebody's need, and they might need some help navigating where they're at in their life, right? And there's all kinds of reasons we get sad and depressed, right? But if it continues and they continue to isolate, that might be a reason that they might need some help. And then caregiver fatigue. My dad had a stroke, major stroke, and he lived for 13 years, but for the first 6, my mom was his caregiver before she had dementia. And so finally at one point, and we were all like, are you all right? She's like, oh yeah, we're good. And at one point he had to go to the hospital I think he got pneumonia, and she's like, Pam, he can't come home. And so I had to figure out what to do. At no point had they really, and I hadn't thought far enough ahead to figure out what their plan was going to be in the event that he couldn't go home or she could no longer care for him. So as a caregiver, you should definitely, whether it's somebody with a physical disability or physical injury or physical issue or memory issues, dementia, you should ensure that you're taking care of yourself, that you're getting respite and support when you need to, and that you're aware that this is hard stuff. Caregivers oftentimes have a shortened life as well because they're taking on all of that care and responsibility, and so it's important to care for yourself, right? And also recognize where you need some help. Got more of these I got to click through because I like to look at them before I start talking. Okay, planning. Some thoughts around planning. It's too soon. Never too soon to have a plan. It doesn't mean that you're going to act on it tomorrow. It just means that you're thinking ahead and kind of hopefully sharing with your own family and loved ones what your goal is with your personal transition plan. So everybody involved is aware of kind of what you're thinking, right? And certainly exploring places that you could live is really important. So you don't have to sell your house today, but visit places and understand what your options are, whether it's here in Green Valley or closer to someone in Tucson or somewhere else, right? So what are your goals? Can't afford it. There's lots of different ways to pay for care. So each person's situation is unique and different. And so we can work to help figure out what your situation is and what we can do to help with the partners that we have to do that. Family conflict. I think we all know what that is. It's sometimes it's hard to talk about this, and people get stressed out about even having conversations, especially with the rest of your family. But you're thinking about how do I plan, right? And then loss of independence. So that's the hardest, I think, is my pastor says nobody's getting out of this world alive. So we all know that things are going to change in our lives, and so. It's hard, but how can you be in control of the things that are changing so that you have input on those things before they get worse, right? And so then that way your plan can be implemented and somebody doesn't just have to decide things for you, right? Because then you really are losing a little bit more of your independence quicker than maybe you wanted to. There's a whole lot of stuff on here. Identifying a community to meet your needs and wants. So do you want to be in an independent living place and then plan to have home support for things like that? And then if you need more support, you may need to go to a different place. Do you want to look at a place that has a whole spectrum of care where you could be independent living, but they may be able to offer you assisted living, sometimes even in the same unit that you're at, right? And then memory care, how important is that to you, right? And so those are all important things. When my aunt and my mom were talking about kind of what they thought that they wanted, my aunt, who was a nurse, retired nurse, she's like, I need to be in a nursing home. Skilled nursing has its place, but there's often times living situations may not require skilled nursing to be on site. You might have other medical supports that you may be able to navigate, and the costs with those differences, right, can be pretty impactful to your budget. And so thinking about those things. Residential care homes, so there's independent living in larger places like apartments or townhome type independent living. And then there's residential homes that are smaller, and in a lot of cases they offer assisted living, but sometimes they could still be independent living, but it's a small home shared with other people that that if you needed something, that there's support that's there for you. And then long-term care facilities, and I think you know a bit about those. Why do you need a senior living advocate or a concierge? And so our job is to learn as much as we can about the senior service world, about all kinds of different resources, whether it's financial planning, whether it's legal, whether it's home care, health care, Medicare, exploration, which plan might be best. And I'm learning that some plans are really good for folks that have ongoing needs where they need more care in their home or at the place they live, and others don't. So there are certain plans that meet needs slightly differently. They're not all exactly the same. So that's another thing. We work with Medicare brokers and also actual insurance plans. So if there's an issue with something, we can help troubleshoot those things with you. And we specialize in guiding seniors with care, clarity, and compassion. So we're here because we care about what we do, and we want each person to have their own personal transition plan, and we want to be there to help you with that. Let's see. Okay, I got more. I didn't do this presentation. My partner Melanie did. So let me just. Okay. So the beginning is the conversation. You may already have been thinking about your plan, but again, this doesn't happen overnight. So then you think, what is the time frame I'm ready to do some sort of a transition? Is it something I have to do sooner? Do I have a little more time? Is it a 2-year waiting list? What does that look like for you? And then during that time, how are you downsizing, or how are you making decisions to move yourself towards your goal with your transition plan, right? And then who else would be blessed by our services? So if you're happy with us as you're working with us, we would love to have your friends and family know about what we do. And we will do presentations. We will set up tours. At my table over there, I have a couple tours scheduled for December 4th. If you're interested in checking out, I think both of those facilities are independent living, assisted living, and memory care. So if you want to learn more about the two places that we have a tour set up. Otherwise, if you want one-on-one assistance, that's what we're here for. And so we can set up a tour with any place that you want to see as we learn more about what your needs are.
Where are they?
What's that?
Where are they?
The two places? Arroyo Gardens and, I can't remember the second one. It's on my paper over there.
Vista Point.
Vista Point, thank you. And we don't visit any place we haven't visited. We do a screening of the places to ensure that there is no issues that we should all be concerned with regarding care. So we do a screening to see if they've resolved any concerns that may have happened in the past, right? Each place has different amenities, different styles of living, and different benefits. And so, again, your plan should meet, the place that you explore should meet the plan that you have for yourself, and whether it involves pets or whether it involves being able to leave to visit somebody for 3 weeks and be able to leave your unit during that time. What is the flexibility that your life requires where you would be living? Okay. So, do I have any questions? What? Yes. I was going to say one question I know that I haven't answered yet is we do not charge to people that we're assisting. If a person transitions to a place that we have an agreement with, then they pay us, but we don't limit ourselves to places that we have agreements, because if somebody has a unique need that needs to be met, we're here to help with those things. And so we may not get paid for helping you if that's the case, and we're open to that if that's what you need. Mm-hmm.
Do you work with adult family homes?
And adults, so like group home?
Private home that maybe takes in
Yes.
people?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you do evaluations in this area?
We've just moved into this area recently, so we're starting our portfolio of different resources and services and places, and we will move as quickly as anyone needs us to get up to speed on those things.
What is your contact information?
Yep. So, okay, my phone number is 520 349 0725. And I can be reached by email at Pamela, so PAMELA, at goevercare.com. And if you didn't get all that, just come see me and I'll write it all down for you. My business cards have not arrived yet. Hopefully this next week I'll have business cards, but I can write it down, or we can set up an appointment, whatever is helpful for you. Okay? Thank you for your time.